You can get hired as a paid writer even if you don't have any experience yet. You just need to represent yourself like a professional so that potential clients will know they're in good hands when they hire you. But how do you do that when you're brand new? Stick around and I'll give you 5 simple ways to set yourself up as a pro from the very start so you can attract paying clients that are a great fit for you and your writing business. Let's go. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Inside AWAI. My name is Rebecca Matter, and I am very excited to be here today with my learning chief, Pam Foster. Hi, Pam.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Rebecca.
We're excited for this one because a lot of times at AWAI, we talk a little bit about higher level stuff. We get really deep in the trenches with various ways that you can make a living as a writer. We get into the tactical stuff of how to write great copy. We explore different niches and industries. But today we're kind of starting at the beginning of where most writers enter this world, and that is becoming a professional writer. If you're with us today, I'm guessing you either are on the way to becoming a professional or you're seeing yourself kind of sitting outside the game. Maybe you're on the fence, maybe you're looking in through the window, and you're curious how to get in the game. What makes you a professional? And what we're going to show you in the next really half hour to 45 minutes or so is how easy you can make that transition to professional. And we're going to give you some tactical things to do to force you off the wall, in the room, into the game, and into this world of professional writing. Because if you are sitting on the outside, if you are looking in, there's so much opportunity to be had. And there has never been a better time in the history of the world to be a writer than right now. So if you've been waiting, it's time to jump in. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into today's session. So this is what we're going to cover today. The first thing we want to talk about are your ideal writing clients. And we want to talk about this because if we say that we're professionals, what does that mean? Who are we talking to? Who are we going after? It's important that we get clarity in what kinds of companies and clients use professionals. And we're going to talk about why that's important. We're going to talk about what makes a professional because that word is really subjective, right? So what do we mean when we say professional? We're going to give you a 5-step professional makeover so that you can, by the end of this, have 5 things that you can do to become or be seen as professional, not only by yourself, your colleagues and friends, but by potential clients as well. And then we'll give you some bonus tips and helpful resources to keep you moving forward. There's a saying that I love: how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is 1 bite at a time. And the reason I put that in there is because there's lots of things you could be doing. And this is something that you're going to have to learn within the world of well-paid writing. There's so many projects. There's so many opportunities. There's so many niches. There are so many programs and webinars and things and ways to build a business and ways to reach out to clients. And the point is not to eat the entire thing at once and consume everything. But if you make consistent progress, 1 bite every single day forward, you can't help but move forward towards the things that you're hoping to achieve. So I just want to put that out there early on, because even the 5 things you might say today, okay, that's 5 things I have to do. It's not 5 things you have to do. It's 5 things you can do, and you can just do one at a time as you go throughout the weeks, months, or however long you want it to take. All right, so Pam, I love this lady's face. Our ideal client. And the reason I put this here is really, I want to talk a little bit about when we talk about professionals and people hire professionals, we're thinking about real companies, right? Not people who are, one of the questions I think I always get, I'm sure you get this too, is people assume, or new writers assume that companies don't really value copy or content, and that they just want to pay $50 here and $25 there, but that's not who we're going after, right?
Right. Yeah. There are, as you may have discovered, some lowest bidder websites looking for copywriters, and they'll pay you, $25 for blog posts and things like that. And somebody will go, oh, but I'll do it for 20. That's not where we're talking about. There are so many companies out there that do understand how copy, content for so many different projects drive their business. And they realize we have to pay decently for that. We have to give, we have to find qualified writers who know what they're doing and pay their worth. And, every year we do a State of the Industry Pricing Guide, which is free on our website if you haven't checked that out yet. But we know from job postings and freelance boards and even our own member input that there are great ranges out there, great pricing and fee ranges out there for clients that get it. And they don't even have to be big, huge corporation type clients either. I mean, a lot of my freelance clients in the veterinary world are mid-size, sort of niche manufacturing companies, or even my own accountant, which is a small firm in Maine. They pay well because they understand that this is driving people to their website and driving business. So I want you to think about the ideal client not necessarily being those, bidding war websites, or a tiny, teeny micro business like a yoga instructor might not have enough money for you. But there's a whole world behind that yoga instructor that makes, classes and gear and training, all of that. They have money. So in short, look for the money.
Well, I love that too, because you said such a key phrase there, and that's that copy and content drives their business. I think that's a mindset thing. We're going to talk about mindset in a minute, that writers, you really need to understand that without you, they're not in business. Companies are in business to sell something, whether it's a product or a service. That's what brings money in, which pays for the staff, which pays for development, which keeps the business going. Without copy or content, they don't have that. So they think of it as an investment. They need you to bring in new prospects, to help those prospects understand that they have the solutions that they're looking for, that those prospects begin to know, like, and trust the company, that they start to build a relationship, eventually feel comfortable buying something from them, and then remain satisfied. So copy and content, and this is a whole other topic, but it's a massive investment for companies. And you really need to understand that as a writer. That's who we're talking about when we talk about our ideal clients. And Pam, you mentioned pricing guide. Social team, if you can go ahead and put in the Q&A in Zoom, both on Facebook as well, a direct link to that pricing guide, that would be beneficial. I recommend that you guys go through this. It's written both for copywriters and for marketers. Every year we put out this pricing guide to say these are the rates that you should expect to charge writers and that you should expect to pay clients. So everyone stays on the exact same page. And there are 80 different projects in there. Like, even that, if you're just joining us for the first time and you're not familiar with AWI or the world of well-paid writing, 80 different projects that you can get paid to write. So definitely absorb it, read it, maybe sleep with it under your pillow, because there's a lot of good stuff inside of that guide. So the client thinks of it as an investment, and they want a good ROI, return on investment. When they think about the effort that they're putting in, it's not about just slapping some copy up on a website and like hoping for the best. They genuinely understand. The best clients really understand what they can get from social media, what they can get from their emails, what they can get from their newsletters, because those people we don't have to convince, right? They already understand the value and know that you as a writer, like Pam said, drive their business with this copy or content, and they're looking for a professional, which is what brings us to today. We are not looking to present ourselves to the world of people who might want a writer. We're looking to present ourselves to the millions of companies, the millions of clients who want professionals working for them because of the first two bullets, the ROI, the investment. They want someone who can deliver these goods. Now, if the story starts spinning already, but I don't have any experience, that's a whole other conversation. We're going to get there. Don't worry about that yet. It's more about mindset of who we are approaching or who we want to work for when building our writing businesses, when representing ourselves as a professional. So that's our ideal client. So that leads the question then, what makes a professional professional? What makes veterinarian Bob or manufacturer A think of me as a professional when they at their first meet, at their first glance? Well, professional, all professional the word means is, it's not just, having a degree or a fancy suit or a PowerPoint presentation. It just means that you are engaged in a specified activity as your main paid occupation, the operative word being paid rather than a pastime. One thing you'll hear us say a lot at AWI is if you're with us here, we assume you want to make money and that this is not a hobby for you. If you want writing as a hobby, you can be around us and learn stuff from us. We can teach you how to write. But for the most part, at AWI, we're constantly rooted in the the knowledge that one, writers are in big demand and can make great money, but two, we take it seriously that if you're with us and you're learning from us, we need to show you how to make money. So every program that you take, every conversation we have, webinar you attend, will always have what we call the AWAI method of balance in both teaching you skills, teaching you knowledge, and then also teaching you how to make money with that skill. So anything you learn from AWAI, by the time you finish that program, you are a professional because you're looking to now do the thing in exchange for money. And money, money is what this is all about. I hate, as soon as I say the word money though, I get kind of cringy, Pam, but the reality is that's what we're in it for, right? I mean, the money is what drives freedom. There's that saying, money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you freedom, and freedom, that can make you very, very happy. So I know that that's kind of like an ick factor. Although when you came into this, Pam, you were pretty much like, go for it, right? You didn't think like, oh, I'm in it for legacy, or you were just like, no, I'm gonna make some money, live this life.
I wanted to get out of corporate America after 25 years of suffering in a cubicle. And I knew that when I discovered AWAI, it was at the perfect time because I was so tired of corporate turnover and craziness. And it said, retire this year and make more than most doctors. And I was like, what? And I sat down and read the promo, and it was speaking to me so beautifully because I already knew in my corporate background that you can make a living as a copywriter. That's what I was doing in that corporate job. I was writing web copy and brochures for the salespeople to take out with them and all kinds of stuff. And I was making a decent salary. So it can be done. And you might even like a full-time job with a company. I just quickly looked at LinkedIn jobs just now and typed in writer, and there are 30,000 jobs. 30,000 companies right now need a writer for their business. So if you don't think there's demand, go check out LinkedIn, and we'll talk about that later. But
we are going to talk about that actually later, because and you're right. It's not, money can be in all forms. It doesn't have to be freelance. It can be full-time. There are companies looking for full-time writers. There are companies looking for freelancers, part-time, project-based. The opportunity really is very wide. But when we look, this is what they're looking for. So either way, right, they're looking to hire a professional. So what does that mean? What are they looking for? They're looking for proof of expertise. Now we have, in this presentation, we're going to say things, and it's going to open up loops in your brain, especially if you're brand new. You're going to have, I don't have any samples. You're going to have, I don't have any experience. I don't have a writing niche, all the stuff. I'm going to give you a link at the very end that will show you that next step. Whatever loop opens up in your brain right now that creates a barrier, that creates a fear, that creates a story, creates an obstacle, we're going to show you at the end of this. We have an amazing resource of videos just like this one. Anything you could possibly need that will knock that thought out of your head and show you how to overcome it. Just know that that's very natural, right? The brain wants to throw up obstacles because this feels very scary in a way. Pam just said the promotion or the sales letter that she came into AWAI on said, retire this year and make more money than most doctors. That's a pretty big promise. And in order for us to fulfill that, we've got to be able to deliver the goods. Your brain is going to go, whoa, wait a second. But doctors spent 8 years in school and hundreds of thousands of dollars in education. How can I make as much money of them without that investment? Well, just because you don't know anything about writing industry just yet, but you will. But all of those things, they're going to create these stories or these narratives. So just know that we have resources that will help you overcome all of those obstacles, just like this one. But when we say we're looking for a professional, the writing client, when they come to you, is looking for some area of proof. Now, proof can come in the form of certifications. Proof can come in the form of past experience if you have it, but you don't need it. Proof can come in the form of who you are as a person. If I'm writing for infant safety products, I have 2 little kids. I know exactly what it's like to be a new mom, being handed this baby and being told that I can just take it home from the hospital all by myself and like keep it alive. Do you know how many products and how many things I searched for and products I bought to help me sleep, to help me overcome my fears, all that stuff? I might not have ever written for infant safety. I might not even have a writing background, but I know what it's like to be a mom. I can talk. So in my expertise, in my marketing materials, I can talk about that. I can talk about the understanding that I have for moms and why I'm the best infant safety writer because I understand the prospect. I can talk about past experience. I can talk about martial arts. Let's say I was in martial arts for 10 years. I can talk about that expertise. It doesn't have to necessarily be writing, but we are looking for some kind of connection. When I come to your LinkedIn profile, when I come to your website, when I see anything from you, is there something that tells my brain as the potential client, there's something here. There's something, I think this person can help me. That's what we're looking for when we think about professionals. We're looking for confidence. At that point, now I'm looking for, do I think this person can do what I want them to do? So if you have a well-written LinkedIn profile, if you have samples, which you can write, don't worry about that. We'll talk about that. We're looking for that confidence that this person might actually be able to help me with my newsletter. They might be able to help me with my social media. So we're looking for confidence. And that's our confidence, the client's confidence, not necessarily the writer's confidence, which that's a whole other conversation. Writer confidence. We're looking for dependability. Like, that's it. Like, is the writer, do I think this person's going to be reliable? Can I depend on them? When they say that they're going to send me a proposal on Thursday, do they send me the proposal on Thursday? Are those conversations, those little signs indicating what it would be like to work with this person on a project? And is that communication? Is that follow-up? Is it professional? Do I feel in those moments, we've all gotten emails that are good and we've all gotten emails that are bad, and we've all had to represent ourselves professionally at some point, whether you're a high school student applying. I'm thinking of you, Luann, who's probably out there. If you're, Linnell, sorry. If you're a 19-year-old high school student applying for college, right? You're representing yourself as a professional in those applications. When you are a mom looking at daycares, there's a professionalism, right, that you're looking for. We've received emails from, we've sent emails to. In business, whatever your background is, you've had to represent yourself as a professional, and you've had to receive professional communication. Your dentist, your accountant, whoever you've ever dealt with as a professional service provider, we know what the communication looks like. So that's all we're looking for. So really, this is it. This is the checklist. Do I look like I have proof? Does it seem like they can have confidence in my ability? Do I demonstrate dependability? Do I follow up when I say I'm going to follow up? And do I have professional style? Like, when I talk to somebody, am I a professional? Because remember, they're investing in you. So they want to make sure they're investing in somebody who is a professional. I'm not going to go to a dentist where I think this is kind of dodgy, right? I don't want to be in this space. This doesn't make me feel safe. No, I want to deal with a professional dentist who makes me feel safe about drilling holes in my teeth. I have a dentist appointment on Wednesday, which is why it's fun. Okay, so what does this look like for freelance writers? Well, we talked a little bit about this already, but this is the flip side of it. We're looking for proof, right? So we talked about proof. This can be industry experience. I have experience as a veterinarian, and therefore I can write for you, veterinarian. I have experience understanding something. So like my infant safety example, maybe I have trainings. You've been through the AWAI method. You've taken our blogging program. You've taken our social media program. You have certifications. Anything like this can be proof. You don't need all of it. It's not a checklist. It's just examples of proof. Confidence, ideas of what confidence might look like. It could be your marketing materials, your LinkedIn profile. It could be writing samples. We're going to talk about this. All of this you can create on your own, whether you have experience or not. We're looking for dependability. So responsiveness, like I said, to inquiries, accuracy, and follow-up. If I say I'm going to contact you on Thursday, I better contact you on Thursday, because that's a clear indicator of whether or not, when I set a deadline for a project, if I'm going to meet that deadline or not. And professional behavior and communication. We adhere to deadlines. Our social media interactions are professional and positive. And we're just mindful of how we sound, what we're putting out there when we're connecting with potential clients. So that's the top level. What is a professional? And I know that's a lot of information, but when we get into the how-to, the tactical stuff now, it will all make more sense and feel doable. So we ready, Pam, for our 5-step professional makeover?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first, oh, look, dentist. That one
going on here.
So our 5-step professional makeover, number 1 is updating the mindset, right? Being fearful. The reason I picked this dental picture is, 1, a dentist is a professional service provider, just like a writer or an accountant or a lawyer or a chiropractor. You have a mindset of how you're approaching this, right? Many writers will come into this thinking that I don't have anything to bring to the table. I don't have any experience. So therefore, I am not a professional. But that's not true. Imagine the dentist who went to school to be a dentist and on day one walked out into the street and said, I'm a brand new dentist. Please let me drill your teeth. Like, is that really is that a professional? Is that they've spent this time and effort investing in themselves, learning how to do this, but then they're singing, I'm a brand new dentist. I'm brand new. Give me a shot, right? There's a little mindset shift. That person, that dentist already invested time. They've done the work. They've put themselves through school and they've practiced on people and now they're ready to launch their business. So the mindset of switching from student to professional, the day after they got their degree, it's only one step later. It's only one day later. It's one baby step from the day before when they got their degree. But the mindset has to shift from student to professional. I am a dentist. I have the skills. Come, let me work on you. Let me show you. But you don't talk about that, right? You just say, I am a dentist. The same thing happens with a writer. If you invest in yourself and you go through, let's say, our core program, the AWI method, the day after you finish, you are a professional writer. If you take Pam's newsletter program, we have a newsletter program, how to write newsletters. The day you finish, the day before you finish, you're a student. The day you finish, you're a professional newsletter writer. And it's just that little tiny shift of, even though it's only been one day, it is a necessary shift to say, I am no longer a student. I am a professional newsletter writer and I am ready to take on clients. And if you've taken any programs from AWI, you are ready. That is the purpose of our programs. We take you from A to Z and even give you the client getting stuff to go out and represent yourself and find clients who pay well for that service. So remember, just one day difference between student and professional. Pam, what are some of the other mindset things that you see with new writers that have to be shifted?
Well, a big one is that you need to know that if you've learned anything about copywriting or content writing, you already know more than your client in most cases. Here's a great example. So my accountant, I love him. I've been writing for that firm for 26 years now. And when we were well into our relationship, I'd always done the newsletter for them, but then they needed to update their website. So I sat with him and said, well, I'm going to go through each page and make sure it's more clear that you serve this geographic area, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll rewrite each page. And he looks at me and goes, what is a page again? So the most basic thing in the planet that we know, they're not tuned into necessarily. They don't know how email works. They don't know why blogging can do wonders if it's done the right way. They don't understand why their web page isn't working. They don't know because they're running a business. You know, my CPA became a CPA after years of study and certification and all that stuff. That's what he loves. That's what he wants to do. On top of that, he's also running a firm. So there's all that. He's not going to learn marketing and copywriting on top of that. So the minute you guys understand the fundamentals of copywriting, you already are an asset to any company who doesn't have the time to learn that stuff. So that's a big one in the mindset. You're not just kind of pick me, I'm a writer, maybe you'll hire me. No, you're like, I know my stuff and you guys need it. And I'm here to make you number one in your world, or, you know, I'm here to help you dominate the niche, or whatever it is, you can help them. You can bring in more business for them. And that's a major value. So.
And you just open up the thought of the client has their job to do. Let's go back to the dentist. Dentist went to dental school to take care of teeth, like to do root canals and keep the gum line clean and all that stuff. Every minute that they spent, even if they could do their newsletter, even if they understood all the stuff, the time that they spend not servicing someone's teeth is not the best use of their time. It doesn't make any sense for a dentist to spend 4 hours writing a newsletter. He could be servicing 8 other patients in the other room and billing for those patients while paying someone else to write the newsletter. Your job is to come in and say, dentist, you go put your butt back in the patient room. That's where you need to be with patients. I'll make sure that your patients are coming regularly to get their cleanings, to realize what could be happening inside their mouths, to make them excited to come back and to see you regularly. That's my job as the writer. So I thought you brought up a really good point there. Pam, not only do you know more potentially than your clients do, but even if they do know anything,
Yeah.
it's not the best use of their time. That's why they need a writer, because they can only do the teeth. You can't do the teeth for them. They have to do the teeth.
Yeah. No,
You
it's
do the
very common. Any kind of company you're working with. Like I worked for years doing blogging for a mid-sized veterinary equipment manufacturer. They could learn blogging. They could have somebody in their staff do it, but they just don't even have time. It's not even that it's a trade-off of I need to be writing the newsletter instead of making this product we can sell. No, they just don't even have the bandwidth. They don't have the time. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found you. You can write the blog post. We'll talk about topics, but please go and run with it because I have to do this meeting and this budget report and I have to hire, and they're doing so much else. So,
I see that with things like social media and stuff as well. Like they know they need to be there. And so they open the accounts, they do the stuff. And I see this in the success stories time and time again. And then when I said I could do their social media, they were like, here you go. Thank you so much. I don't want to do this stuff. I know I need to do a newsletter. I know I need to do social media, but I don't want to do it because that's not the best use of my time, or I just don't want to do it. I don't enjoy the writing piece of it. But guess what? We do. We love that stuff. So we get to be the writers to take care of those tasks for the clients. Step 2, this is probably the easiest thing. And we have content for days on the AWAI website. You just search LinkedIn, you'll find so many great tips and tricks. And we have this amazing 21-day challenge. We call it a challenge, but it's really not a challenge. Her name is Elise Benino, and she runs it. And she basically gives you something to do every single day with LinkedIn to get you practicing with potential clients, only to find out that they are really clients. And you were so afraid of doing the marketing that you thought you couldn't do it. And then by day 6, you're like, oh no, people are contacting me. What do I do? And Elise is like, you answer them. This is no longer a simulation. It's real. Those are real clients. You can reach out. But for you and your professional makeover right now, if you're just starting out, update your LinkedIn profile. You can literally just put professional writer on it today. It doesn't even have to be just change your headshot, right? Start building out your bio a little bit. Add a little bit to it every single day. Nothing will make you feel more professional and be perceived more professional than a professional profile on LinkedIn. It's where the clients are. Go ahead, Pam.
I was going to say a couple of things about that too, is if you have connections on LinkedIn, they're going to see you change that title. And people you already know may be like, you're writing now? Oh my gosh, our company needs that. Can you help us with web pages or whatever? And then the second piece is, I forgot. It was so good. Never mind. I'll think it'll come to me. But LinkedIn is where serious business people are looking. And somebody asked if it's the only place. Definitely not. You can attract clients in lots of ways. We've got a lot of material on that on Inside AWAI. But LinkedIn is huge. And I would definitely, the other point was it's free. That's the other point. The other point is there's a paid version and there's a free version. I've been on LinkedIn for at least 12 years now. I've never paid a dime because all of the great stuff you can do there for free got me further along, or got me as far as I want to go in connecting and with the right people in my circle. So I've never paid anything for it. Now, others have paid and it's been worth it. They can see who's looking at their profile. They can reach out to people who they're not connected with. That's cool. But you can start with free. And, free is a great place to start.
And you're in full control of it too, which means you're not waiting for somebody to edit your website. You're not waiting. You can literally go in, you get an idea tonight at 10 o'clock about something that you want to change, and you can just change it at 10 o'clock. At 10:01, it can be done. It's such a cool, and I love what you just said, that you're writing now. How many stories do we hear about people's first client in their network, whether it's their neighbor, their dentist, their dogs, walkers, sisters, husbands, spouse, like what, being their first client just by saying, I am a copywriter. So I love this. For those who are thinking, but who do I tell that I'm a copywriter? Just put it on your LinkedIn profile. It'll take care of it for you and spread it out to your network really quick. I love that. Thank you. So LinkedIn, everybody can do this. And if you don't know anything about LinkedIn, just go to the AWAI website, put in the word LinkedIn, and you will find, again, content and tutorial for days. If you're in the AWAI method, that 21-day challenge I talked about is part of the program. We actually do have it separately that you can participate in it on a monthly basis, but it's part of the AWAI method that is as a free bonus piece, because the success that has come through that 21-day challenge, again, social team, I don't think we have a link for this, but you might want to grab one. As I sit here and talk about it, I'm like, gosh, everybody should be doing this thing. It really, I've never seen such high success rate. And while there are lots of ways that you can get clients, the success rate that comes from LinkedIn is just so high. It's not even worth talking about other ways very often, because if you're not doing this one, it's the easiest. It's the biggest pool. It's where your potential clients are. So I recommend, even if you want to do the other ones, you do LinkedIn. And that's why we went ahead and added it into the AWAI method, because just the success for effort is like unsurpassed in any other channel. Okay, step 3. Now this is one that creates a little bit of friction, because now it becomes, but I don't have, like, how do I create materials? I don't have any experience. I don't have any samples. Samples are literally just samples of your writing. If you've gone through any AWAI program, you have samples. The AWAI method gives you 5. So social team, you might want to also grab the AWAI method. I realize I'm like dropping these things and I didn't think about this, but the AWAI method, you write 5 different projects. And the reason we do this at AWAI is because it's one thing to learn a skill. It's one thing to learn a tactic, a technique, a skill, a project type. But if you know it here and you don't know it here and you haven't actually done it, you've missed a big part of the learning. So the way that we run all programs at AWAI, and the way that I recommend that you do learn, even if you learn outside of AWAI, is make sure that you're applying it to what we call scope of project. And the reason I say this is when you go through, let's say, our certification for blogging, or our certification for, I'm trying to think what's case studies. We're talking about our case study certification at AWAI right now. The case study is just a success story. It's a 1.5-page before and after story that companies use to, they're the ultimate proof piece to show how somebody benefited from their product. So rather than me saying, hey, my product is so great, I'll just show you the proof in the form of someone else having an actual experience. When you take the case study certification, we give you a scope of project, meaning you meet a client. The client asks you for a specific case study on a specific topic from a specific person. You then perform the work and write the case study, get feedback, and get a professional sample. The reason we do that is not only to give you a professional sample, which is step 3, create business materials, but also to give you that hands-on experience, so that when you, like the dentist, step from student to professional the day after you get your certification, you've actually drilled teeth, right? You've actually done the work. You've written a case study. So you're no longer like just armed with knowledge about what it might be like in the dentist case to drill teeth, or what it might be like to write a case study. You've actually already gone through the motions of understanding what a client needs, taking their instruction, performing the task, submitting it, making sure that it matches the scope, getting feedback, perfecting it, and having a sample. You have experience. When you finish the AWAI method, you have 5 different pieces of experience. You're no longer a brand new newbie who only knows conceptually how to write. You've proven it to yourself. So you can take those pieces and use them as your samples. The reason I say that is a couple of reasons. One, you can create samples from anything. If you're going to write newsletters for veterinarians, you should write newsletters for veterinarians. You should have samples to show, right? It's very easy for you to sit down today. You've learned how to write a newsletter, write a sample for Bob the veterinarian, write 3 samples, write one about dog teeth and keeping them clean, write one about the importance of keeping your vaccines up to date, write one, whatever the things are, write those newsletters, and then you have them. So when someone says, do you have any samples? You're like, absolutely, I do. So there you go. So not only does it give you samples, but again, that application will show yourself even that you know how to do the thing, and will go so far in the confidence game, so that when a client does contact you, veterinarian Ryan calls you and says, can you write newsletters? You're like, absolutely, I can. I've done it 3 times already, even though I haven't actually gotten paid for it yet. So business materials, you can create them. And when we say business materials, we mean, could be samples, but it also could be your website. You don't need a website, but you could have a website. It could be email communications or your LinkedIn correspondence that you're going to send to potential clients that you want to work with. What are some other business materials, Pam, that you use or have taught people to write or might be part of this that could give you a little bit of professional looking is?
Yeah,
let's
sure.
get makeup words.
So on your email, you would probably want to, at the bottom, have a signature that says professional copywriter. Like for me, I have Pam Foster, web/SEO writer, and then the name of my business with a link to my website. If you don't have a website yet, you could link to your LinkedIn profile, but some sort of professional signature that shows you're in business. And then there's, let's see what else. You want to have set up some templates that you can work with. For example, if I'm going to do a proposal, it should look professional, maybe have a logo at the top or at least the name of my business and website and email, and then what you're proposing to do and the rate. You also maybe want to have a pricing document of your own to reference. And our pricing guide that we talked about at the beginning of this session is a great place to start, where you can say, well, I want to be a web writer, so I want to write blogs, web pages, and maybe some other web stuff. You can look at all those 80 projects in our pricing guide and pick out the web stuff and create a little reference sheet for yourself. So when a client says, well, what do you charge for blogging? You can say $250 a blog, and you don't have to think about it and angst over it. You know, it's just so quick and easy and professional when you can do that. You'll also
I love that you brought up something we haven't even talked about yet, creating a sample proposal, creating a methodology or a process for yourself, creating your own invoices. Like those are all things that we actually do have. We have these essential business templates at AWAI that if you don't want to do this from scratch, you can just change them out with your company name, your logo, makes it very easy. But talk about another big confidence boost. I remember who was that? Elizabeth Blessing, I think. One of our AWAI success stories took essential business templates and literally changed everything out and then wrote her first invoice before she even had a client. She wrote it for like $1,200 for this assignment that she was going to do. Didn't have a client, but just in her mind, she wanted to feel what it felt like to write an invoice for $1,200. And wouldn't you know, like right after that, she had her first like $1,000 plus assignment, and it just kind of all talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy. Go ahead and write the invoice and the job will come.
That's very cool. I love that. And here's the thing, here's a tip that I just want to give you too, is this is a scenario I went through several years ago. I was referred to a company to do some web copy for them, and unbeknownst to me, somebody else had also been referred to this client. So I was kind of in competition with somebody, and they had set up a proposal template, and it was very generic. So when the client said, you know, we need some help with our website, can you help us? He just flung an email and said, here's my proposal, have at it. When do we start? And I was like, hold on. You don't want to use these things until you've actually had a conversation with the client. So what I did was say, I need to learn about what your business goals are. Let's get on the phone together. In those days, we didn't have Zoom, quite accessible, but that's how old I am. But so we had a conversation, and I listened to them, and I asked them, you know, what are you looking for? What is your barrier or roadblock? You know, what do you need to do to make this better and make this right? And we went through all that. And then I sent a proposal that was customized to them, still using my template, but I was able to fill in specifics about their goals, their audience, their wishes. And I got the job because they were like, the other person didn't even bother to ask us what we do. So materials are great to have, but you also want that personal conversation first to make sure you're meeting their needs with your materials.
Fantastic. All right, which takes us to step 4, which was awesome. Preparing for conversations with clients. Now, I'm going to give you the link to Inside AWAI at the end. If you're brand new, we house these types of training on our website, and we have one specifically on client conversations, because I think this is something that terrifies writers most. Like, what are we going to do if we have to actually talk to the client? Lots of times you won't, by the way. There will be, especially when you're just starting out with blogs and emails and things like that, you might not actually talk to them. You can do it over email, but eventually you're going to want to, because a little project like, let's say, starting social media or starting their blog can easily spin into so many other projects. And having a relationship with your clients, it's everything. The people who I have writers who've worked with me for over 10 years now, and we have great relationships because of that. The reason you want that is like what Pam alluded to. You're going to be better equipped to deliver what it is they're looking for, what it is that they want, because you understand them. You're curious about their business. Now, this is not a put on your suit and get your PowerPoint ready and like do your professional presentation for how you are going to write their copy. That's not what this is. This is you genuinely being curious and asking for what you need to get you excited and what they're excited about and those talking points that you'll be able to incorporate into your copy or content. But having a little bit of framework for how these conversations might go down is great, because if these conversations go well and you have them regularly, the initial social media project, the initial blog project quickly turns into, rather than order taker, let me do this for you that you want, it flips. And now I can call the potential client and say, hey, I'm doing your blogs. I'd love to do your social media also, though. I make sure that we're driving traffic to the blog. I'm doing your blogs and your social media. I'd like to also do the emails that correspond with your audience after they're reading the blogs. Let's continue the conversation in email. It allows you to open this up and create larger, what we call scope of project, to make more money from every client. In this day and age, there's so many pieces of copy and content that are needed to market anything in any industry these days. I wouldn't recommend only having one client just for, security reasons, but you really only need to have, you could totally take up all of your time with one client because the demand is so big. But in this step, when we're thinking about becoming a professional, it's really about preparing for this conversation. So what are some of the things when I talk to a client, like Pam's example, what are some of the things I could ask? Even just having a quick little cheat sheet. Like I remember doing phone interviews and they always ask you, like, what questions do you have about our business? I was ready with them on my piece of paper. They don't need to know I have a piece of paper, but I didn't want to get stuck in that moment and have to think about the questions. I wanted to be prepared. So you can do this to become a professional and be seen as a professional right out of the gate. Pam, even if I have no experience and I'm calling veterinarian Bob about his videos, the videos on his website that I want to do for him, what are some things? Can you give us maybe like 3 or 4 talking points that we could prepare for really any client that would allow us to start a professional conversation right out of the gate?
Yeah. If someone, for example, needs help with their website, I would usually ask first, what is the problem? What is it that you're not happy about? And they might say something like, we're not being seen on Google at all. Okay. So who are you trying to reach? Tell me about your ideal customer or prospect. And then they'll be like, oh, well, let's use veterinary again, because that's my world. It might be a veterinary practice who's looking for an easier way to keep their exam rooms clean or something like that. And my client happens to sell amazing cleaning products. Oh, okay. And how does your product solve their problem? Well, it's non-toxic and it's safe for animals and people, and on and on and on. So you're digging and learning what's great about the client, but also what they're trying to tell their prospects. And then what would be a great outcome for you? Well, we'd have more traffic from Google and we'd get more business from that. Cool. Now I have a much better picture. And I also ask a little bit about the competition. How are your solutions better than the competition solutions? Oh, well, ours was created, da, 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 da. So you're becoming an ally to them. And it's way more than just an order taker, like Rebecca said. You're actually consulting with them and listening and establishing that you care about what their issue is and how you can help them. So just those few questions are great to start with, no matter what kind of business it is. What problem are you trying to solve? Who are you trying to reach? What makes your solution great? And, why are you better than the competition? So
2 things I want to point out in addition to becoming an ally that Pam gave you. 1, did you notice she never talked once about herself? So those of you who are thinking like, but they're going to, what am I going to bring to the table? You don't have to. The best thing to do is get them talking about themselves and about their business. That is, you're an ally, like Pam said, like that's amazing. And then by just being curious and writing down, do you think your proposal is going to be amazing? because it's going to be very specific. When you come back, hey, Pam, when we talked, you said your biggest problem was, that's why I'm recommending this project type. Hey, Pam, when we talked about your website, you talked about the best outcome would be this. I got an idea. I see that your website is doing A, B, and C, but we're missing X, Y, and Z. We can do that and your outcome will automatically improve. Hey, Pam, remember what, like you can just start to layer in these remember how you said that you loved competitor, what they're doing with this? I got an idea how we can do it even better than them. Theirs is good, but it's not great. Here's what they're missing. Let's do it like this. Who doesn't want to take that call? Who doesn't want, like, that's a professional, right? And again, I've never had to one time say, and I've got track record for days. Look at all the people I don't have to do that because it's all about them. And now my proposal is coming back to answer. Oh, Pam, we should do a whole other session on that. That is a great.
I know. The fact the fact that you're listening is rare. A lot of web copywriters, or you see those spammy SEO emails.
I get them every single day from every kind of service provider, from accounting to SEO to web development.
They don't even know what we do, and they're like, I've got the solution for you.
I've got the solution, yes. Yeah. Okay, so we're coming into the end here, and I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for questions. Step 5, professionals write every single day. We talk about this all the time. But then the next question is, okay, yeah, but cool, what do I actually write, right? That's kind of, it can almost feel a little bit overwhelming. So we talked about samples. You can write samples every single day. I write every single morning. It's part of my process. I take my kids to school. I listen to a book on Audible that is professional development in nature because that's kind of the audience and the topics I write about. And then I come home and I write. And the more I got in here, I got this from a master copywriter, John Ford. I was asking him about big ideas and how do you come up with them. And he said, I can't tell you how to come up with one, but I can tell you the more you put in, the better chance you have of one coming out. And I will tell you, if you do something like this, put it in your head, read a book, listen to something before you write, there's something about it that just gives me so many ideas and it just gets me going. So you could write samples. Again, you're going to be a veterinarian newsletter writer, write 3 veterinarian newsletters. You can write copy for your website. What a great sandbox to try stuff is for your own website or your LinkedIn profile, just to be writing. If I'm targeting infant safety manufacturers, I can write my website targeting moms about infant safety products, or I can write a website about infant safety products. I can easily demonstrate my ability not only to sell myself as a writer, but my expertise I can write blogs about infant safety products that I can just write. No one has to ask me to write them. I can publish them on my website. Who better? How much better proof can someone ask? Yes, I can write. There's the blog. Yes, I understand the industry or the niche. There's the proof. It's the ideal proof pieces. So copy for your website, blog posts, articles, that can be there. And then finally, comments on social media pages from your dream clients. This is one of my favorite things that Steve Maurer does, AWAI Success. You'll meet him in Circle of Success. You've probably seen him on social media and over on LinkedIn. He goes to articles in his industry, manufacturing, and comments on them. And his comments are so detailed and knowledgeable that of course people click on his LinkedIn profile, like, who is this guy? Then they click through and they realize, oh, he's a peer. He's a colleague in this space. He's a copywriter who specializes on this. So if I want to work for infant safety manufacturers, I'm going to go to their LinkedIn page. I'm going to see what kind of content they're putting out there, and I'm going to respond. Most of our writers and social media participants come from social media because they were great commenters, participants, ambassadors really in the comments, that when they reach out to me, I already know who they are because I've seen their names so many times, or I reach out to them because I need somebody who has this ability and I know who they are. So it's another great way. These are all just quick ways for you to write on a regular basis, but just remember, professional writers write. So you gotta, if that's a hard habit to start, figure it out, because that is one that nothing will move you forward and get you walking the walk and feeling the feels than closing the laptop at the end of an hour and feeling like you've accomplished something that day. No matter what else happens in the day, you wrote something, and it is a great, great place to be at the beginning of the day. Okay, so we're going to open it up for questions, but real quick, additional resources. I said, where can you find the answers to all those other things? If you go to our website, AWAI.com, and you click on resources, I'm pointing to my screen as you can see right here. If you just click right here, you will be taken to the page on the right, which is free resources. And there's other things there also. We have an article archive full of everything you could possibly need just type the word like LinkedIn into the search bar and you'll find all the pieces we have. There's our state of the industry copywriter, the rates report. And on this page, you'll also find the access to the archives of Inside AWAI webinars like this one. Anything you can think of. We talk about pricing, client conversations, LinkedIn profiles, how to get clients. We talk about specific things, how to make $1,000 in a weekend as a writer, 6 ways to make money blogging. I mean, anything you could possibly think of, it's all in there. So definitely go there. And then if you want help with all of this, so we are always here to give information, but if you want more tactical hands-on, if you want us to walk you through those 5 steps, we have something called Launch Party. We're kicking it off on Monday. You'll work with us every single day next week, and you will be a professional writer on Friday, guaranteed. We will work on your LinkedIn profile. We will have conversations with potential clients. We will walk through all of this with exercises and real, like just like this, and you will be launched by next Friday, whether you like it or not. I'm just kidding. Whether you feel ready or not is probably a more positive way of saying it. So all the information is there, awai.com/launch party. If you haven't been through it, you should. It's super inexpensive, but it's such a great just kind of launcher to get you going. Once you're in the game, it's a lot easier to maintain momentum. The hardest part is getting off that starting block. This makes it easy. Monday, we give you the first bite, you're off the block. And just like that transition from student to professional, you're no longer on the starting block. You're 1 day in. Tuesday, you're 2 days in. Thursday, Friday. By Friday, you're 5 days in. And that starting block seems like a distant memory because you're already moving forward. And then it's just 1 step forward every single day from that point on. All right, Jade, welcome back. Welcome back to the show, Jade. Do you have any questions from the audience?
Before we get into it, I do have to say, like, so listening to you guys, that, and I hope everybody really took this away, that professional does not necessarily mean experience, right? They don't always equal each other. You can be professional without having any experience. And I've had like an interesting thing happen to me the last couple of weeks where I've been working with a copywriter that is extremely experienced, and you would think that that would be so much easier and so wonderful, but to be honest, like, there's been like this really difficult thing to deal with because she feels like she knows what we're doing so much better than what we know it. And I feel like so many times when we work with new copywriters, they're so much more inquisitive and open to what we're doing. So I think of it as your superpower, that you're starting out and you're taking this on and you're in there with the clients and you're doing this thing together. So I hope you see it as the positive that it is, because sometimes with professionals, there comes other difficulties,
I just hope that the copywriter isn't watching this right now because they're going to know.
No, don't worry. She's too busy emailing me all the questions. She's not watching.
But I love the curiosity and enthusiasm. Yeah. People oftentimes ask, what are some of the traits we look for in writers? Writing is really only part of it. And honestly, curiosity and enthusiasm is number 1 on my list. Now, once we get working, then I'm going to look for deadlines and things like that. But to get me engaged, to want to talk to you, don't tell me what to do. Be curious about this business and be enthusiastic about what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah. That takes you so much further than, I know what you need, I can get it done for you. You don't, because every company, just like humans, we all feel unique, right? We are different then. And so we want to express our differences. And the best writer wants to know what makes you different to put that stuff forward out in their copy and content. So great insight, Jade.
Yeah. If I had to hear the way we do it one more time, but anyways, I digress. So there were some questions, and I just want to make sure everyone is on the same page. Launch party that Rebecca mentioned. It's Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern time for 5 days. If you had it before, yes, you can come and join us again. So
I'm back. It changes every time because even though the 5 topics are the same, the guests are different and our experiences and insights are different. As we started this 2 years ago and have had more success stories because of this than any other time in the history of AWAI. Now, the industry and the demand is also booming, which helps a little bit, but this process for getting people off the starting block was a test experiment, and it worked like crazy, but it's continued to evolve and it doesn't get better. It evolves with what's happening in the membership. It evolves with what's happening in the industry. We evolve in understanding what it is that gets people past roadblocks and things. So definitely come back and do it again.
Awesome. Okay, so questions from members. Mary said, how do writers organize their writing samples for prospective clients to see? Is it a master Word doc or a PDF? What are companies expecting?
Companies aren't expecting anything. It's whatever you want to give them. So my key here is always on relevancy and volume. I don't want to read 17 samples. It's never going to happen. I need maybe 2 to 3. And that's if I even ask for them. So you want to put your best foot forward. If I'm hiring you to write a newsletter, I'd prefer to see a newsletter. If you don't have newsletters, but you have blogs to the same audience, I'm going to want to see those things. So it can be a Word doc. It can be a PDF. Don't overthink the format. It's just more of, I'd like to see samples of your writing. This is like this. For those of you who don't have samples, because now we've opened up another loop, don't worry. You can get around that either by writing samples so that you have them, or you can say, you know, your company, I believe every company is so unique. Your voice and tone is different than any other company, any other blog I've ever written before. And I don't even have to say company I've worked for. Let me write a sample blog for you just so we can see if this is a fit and see how it goes. It's like a paid audition, and you don't have to do samples because the samples are really only as good as the potential client that gave you that assignment. I honestly, as a client, don't even know if you wrote those samples, right? So I would rather me give you the opportunity to write something for me, for just me, that's focused on my, because I believe, like most companies, that our style and tone is different than everybody else. We're different, like I just said before. So why not use that to your advantage?
Okay, I love this question. If I can find it. Daniel said, if I've been doing copywriting and get a client who wants content writers, do I take the job and use my copywriting skills? There is no copywriting required in the client's job description. All
right, Pam, you or me?
I was typing an answer to a totally different question, so I didn't hear it.
I'll do it then. So we believe that the fundamentals of persuasion are relevant everywhere. It used to be that there was this clear divide between content and copy. Content writers were like, we don't sell, we do content, we just inform. And the copywriters were like, that's okay, we'll do the selling and take your paychecks because we make more money, because we are closer to the sale. Then over time, we got into this conversation of persuasive and persuasive. And the content writers were like, hey, we actually persuade your readers so that when the copywriters come in, they're already ready for the sale. So we too understand. Now we make better money because we know that the end game is a sale. So even if you're writing content, there's so much more money to be had in content now than there used to be, because great content writers understand that the end game is a sale. So even if you feel like, I don't want to be selling, that's okay. You can do the content side of it, the blogs, the newsletters, the emails, and things that talk to prospects, but you know that it's moving towards sales. So everything that you've learned on the selling side of it applies, and your content will be better for it. If somebody can grab the content curriculum, if you just search our website for content curriculum, you'll find a link to an article written by Pam Foster that talks about these 4 abundant buckets for writers. And it actually walks you through how content transitions into copy and the assignments that are underneath. And I think it would be very helpful for everyone to see that. So short answer, all of your copywriting principles that you've learned apply to content. It's just learning the project type, like a newsletter versus a blog versus an email. And that can be done very easy. If you have the AWAI method, we actually show you the fundamentals of persuasion, and then we apply it to copy and content right away so that you can see how it really applies to any project you might take on.
Jade beat me to it, but she put the link in chat.
So good.
and it's the continuum. I think you might have said curriculum.
Continuum. Sorry. Content continuum. Content continuum. Content continuum.
Content copy continuum. All the same.
Wow.
Okay, Mr. Copywriter VJ, we see your question. Let me see. Okay. Is it really viable for a new copywriter to get $2,000 for a sales page without any experience? How do we feel about that?
It can be, but sales pages in general are going to be harder to land because they do require such strong nuance. People like selling a product, copywriters who sell, direct response copywriters at the end of the curriculum, of the continuum chain, the ones who are closer to the sale, it's a harder job to do because there is nuance. You have to really understand how to get someone to put down their credit card. So can you, without experience, get it? Yes, but you are going to need to be trained specifically in that. And you will want to be able to show proof in the form of samples, which we have in all of our programs. So that's AWI method. Also the accelerated program for 6-figure copywriting, that goes closer to the bigger picture of sales letter writing. And so, yes, that is the opening starting rate for sales pages, but you're going to have the training to show that, yes, I can get the sale, which is a little bit different than all the other pieces that link to the sales letter.
Wow. I just wanted to say a couple things more about Launch Party too. And I don't know if everybody has that link, but the thing that's so cool about it, and I've been doing the Launch Party for 2 years now, joyfully, but every month you're on there with a community of other writers who are in the exact same boat. And we have seen that, like a rising tide lifts all boats. There's a great saying, and it's when you're working together and you're learning together and you're trying copy and you're posting what your subject line might be for an email, and everybody else is too. There's power in that. You're not alone anymore. And that's what I love about the Launch Party, is that you have us there with you, but you also have a community of people that are all going for the same goal, which is so cool because there's work enough for everybody, trust me. And you'll form buddy groups, and that's what we encourage here. So you're never alone again. And Launch Party really, not to use my last name, but fosters that so that, you have people, you have buddies right from the start. So I really love that about the Launch Party, and I hope you'll seriously look into that.
Isn't it funny how everything crosses over? I literally, if you look at my Google search, literally searched for that quote this morning.
Oh,
randomly.
Really?
Yes. And I was using it under a different context. I wanted to get the exact phrasing, but I love your articulation of it here, because it's being in community is also the collective experience of the community. So Jade and Pam might have different interpretations, different articulations, and different questions that I had when I listened to, like, let's say Ted is talking about Ted Capshaw, who does our Monday morning jumpstarts. Also something everybody should be watching every Monday. You can find those on our website. Just search Monday Morning Jumpstart. But when he says something, we all think of it differently, right? So when we ask our follow-up question, I get the answer to my question, but I also get the question and the answer from Pam and Jade, which gives me that experience too. So now when I leave, I don't only have my experience under my belt, I have theirs also, which is really cool. Like, so there's community and like support, but then there's also, to that idea of rising tides lift all boats, it really does, because all the collective experience, everybody is gaining all the experience. It's why I love masterminds, because you really build upon everybody's expertise, not just one coach, one singular experience, but rather all the experiences. So I love that you brought that up, Pam.
Awesome.
Yay.
So a question from Daniel: how far should we go in limiting corporate speak, and should I advise my client when the client requests me to include industry lingo?
Go ahead, Pam.
That one. I'm like the B2B. I work in the business to business world, mainly on my freelance side, and that is where you could encounter corporate speak. But there's a difference between industry phrases that are part of their normal nomenclature, they're part of their normal day-to-day activities, versus sounding pompous and industrial. So here's an example. You don't want to say something on your corporate website if you're writing for a client. 1,000 years or 100 years of solution-based, technology-oriented, just this gobbledygook. That's useless. But if you're writing to people who are veterinarians, for example, I happen to know that they call the pet owners clients, not customers ever. So if you're using the words customers on a website for a veterinary practice community, they're going to be like, they don't get us. They don't know. They're not using our language. Or if there's some sort of language that is used by IT professionals on cloud storage software and Drupal and blah, blah, blah. I have no idea what they're talking about, but they do. And the copy should reflect that you get that audience. So it depends on the audience. Use the language they use, but don't use pompous corporate industrial language. That would be my takeaway.
I always think too, like, no matter what, we're humans. I see Jake is in the Q&A as well. And he and I oftentimes talk about this, like humans read copy, humans read content, businesses don't read copy. So using corporate speak and stuff, we've all been there, right? How boring is that? I love copy or content that pulls me in. I'm like, what time? How did I get so far into this thing? Because it just pulls you in, like a great conversation with a great friend. Right. So whether you're selling industrial technology or skincare, at the same time, the buyer is a person who's got a lot going on in their lives and wants to be pulled into conversation. So that's why we teach conversational copywriting. That's why we write like we talk. So I'm with you, Pamela. Get rid of all that boring, gloss over. Here's why also, not only does it not pull somebody in, it's so easy for the brain to get distracted, right? Even right now, your brain is constantly like, what do we have for dinner? Oh, wait, I'm focused. Oh, wait, I need to pick up my kids. Oh, no, wait, I'm focused. What am I doing after this? Oh, wait, I'm focused, right? You're constantly in and out, in and out, in and out. When you put in any boring pieces of copy, it basically says to the brain, you just go ahead and think about whatever you want. I don't need to keep your attention. The minute you do that, boom, person's gone. They're no longer reading and you risk losing the attention and potentially the sale. So get those dead spots out.
I literally forwarded Pam an email yesterday from Ann Handy, her newsletter, where she had her tweets and it said that in B2B, everybody thinks it doesn't involve heart, but she was like arguing that it involves even more hearts. And so we should have even more conversational connection in them than what we usually. So I love that. Okay, so we have Tatiana in Facebook asking us, how do I, as a new copywriter, convince the client that I can write professionally if the client wants to know if I've already worked as a copywriter in a professional capacity before?
I would just use that example that I said, which is, I believe every company is super unique. I would love an opportunity to write for you. Why don't I just do a blog? Here's 5 ideas that I've written, that I've thought about specifically for your company. Which one would you like me to start with? It's like, that question's gone now. Who cares who you've worked for? Because at the end of the day, I don't even know what those experiences look like. I don't know if you're good or bad, but I can judge your blog writing. I can judge in that email your 5 ideas that you just gave me. That already gives me a talking point. So I think that's the way you can easily sidestep that conversation. Now, you're not trying to be shady. You're not trying to hide the fact that you're new. That's okay. If those conversations come up, they come up. Just say, hey, I'm actually just getting my start, but I know I can do this for you. Let me start with a blog post and then we'll step into it. That's okay too. I don't want you screaming from the rafters that you're new, because if you've invested in yourself, if you're no different than the dentist who already got the degree. So if you've done the work, then you point to your experience there, right? I'm a certified case study writer. I've been through the AWAI method. Here are my samples. Anything that can sidestep that conversation in a professional way that isn't trying to hide it is almost more valuable to the conversation than, here's who I work for. Let me show you my path. I don't care. At the end of the day, I want to know what you can do for me because I'm different. Remember, I'm unique.
Yep. I see a question about accelerated program and the method. Yes. Working through the accelerated program now and the writing project, should I have taken the method instead? The answer is no. You're fine if you're finishing the accelerated program and you're in the middle of writing a sample. Go for it. Finish it up. That will never be wasted for you. I promise. And then you could take the method to refresh those fundamentals, but also try projects of different kinds, because we have a blog, email, landing page. So you will have a sales letter under your belt, and then you'll have some other projects to learn from. And wow, talk about samples. That'll be pretty amazing. So I recommend finish the one you're in and then move on to the next.
Awesome. I'm seeing so much great commentary on how much people enjoyed this and how encouraging it is whenever they come to it. We do these every month, so we're always here. If you think this is encouragement and motivation, just wait till Monday of the launch party. You're gonna have it's so motivational and so encouraging, and just such a great community that supports each other. So I'm sure we'll be seeing some of you there. But Pam and Rebecca, any final thoughts or wrap up for today?
Just remember that, clients want to work with professionals. As a copywriter, you are a professional service provider, no different than any other professional out there servicing clients, right? So again, accountants, lawyers, chiropractors, you're in this bucket with them. So companies want to do business with professionals. So even if you're just starting out, the day after being a student, moving into professional, It's just the day later. There's nothing that happens. Nobody dubs you as a professional. It's just how you represent yourself. So from this day forward, we've given you 5 ways to represent yourself as a professional. From here on out, at every turn, just be thinking about that. Would I want, if I was receiving this email from a professional service provider that I do business with, is this written in a way that would give me confidence, that would make me want to work with them? Or is it written in like a really sterile corporate speak and just be a human? You're a great human. Be a human with natural experiences. Communicate with other professionals on that level. Don't let anything stop you at this point. If you've been looking through the window, if you've been sitting on the fence, there's no need. The pool is warm. There's lots of space for everybody. And the opportunity now has never been greater. You are in greater demand today than you were a year ago, than you were 3 years ago, than you were in 10 years ago. So you are right time, right place. And no matter what, whether you join us for Launch Prior or not, we look forward to helping you build your career. If you have a topic for a future Inside AWAI, we'd love to hear it. You can email me anytime or message me through Facebook. I'm askrebecca@awai.com. And we would love to do it. Our next topic, I think, is on retainers. So for those of you looking for predictable writing income, we'll be talking about that next month. And we look forward to seeing you, working with you, and helping you along your way. So with that, bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for being here.